Welcome to the Women's History Month edition of Strictly Education. I am your host, Dr. Tahira. In this episode of Strictly Education, we will address the gender imbalances in school leadership and public education. Did you know that 8 out of 10 teachers in America's schools are women? That number flips when it comes to school leadership. With much attention and issues such as equal pay, gender imbalance, and public education leadership, I sit down with a school district who is blazing the trail and embracing female leadership. It is my school district, Westbury School District in Westbury, New York. At the Westbury School District, there are 49 leadership roles, and 32 of them are occupied by females. Let's get started with Strictly Education. I am sitting with the women of Westbury, affectionately known as WOW. Represented in this audience are the women of Westbury. These ladies are leading the charge at Westbury. They are school board members, they are district administrators, they are leaders in their own buildings, principals, assistant principals, but don't let me tell you, I want them to introduce themselves to the world. Let's start here.
Hi, my name is Robin Bowling, and I am a school board member.
Hello, my name is Maria Jose Vaca, and I am the assistant principal of Park Avenue.
Hi, I'm Robin Barnett, Assistant Superintendent for Elementary Curriculum and Instruction.
Hi, my name is Michelle Wilson, and I'm a trustee on the Board of Education.
Good afternoon. I'm Gloria Dingwall, and I'm the principal of Dryden Street School.
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Doyle. I'm the supervisor of security.
My name is Tracy Provence. I'm the district-wide director of athletics and intramural sports.
Hi, I'm Evelyn Bunger, the assistant principal at Powell's Lane School.
Hi, I'm Shirley Vargas. I am the chairperson of World Language at Westbury High School.
Hi, my name is Dr. Alexis. I am the special education chair at the high school.
Greetings, I'm Claudia Germain, the proud principal of Powell's Lane School.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nicolette James, Westbury High School chairperson of English.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Christy Thiel, the assistant principal at Westbury Middle School.
Hello, my name is Natalie Nelson, and I'm the director of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging at the Westbury School District.
Hello, my name is Ashley Jackson, and I'm the director of adult ed.
Hi, I'm Dr. Teresa Taylor Williams. I am the district-wide consultant for social and emotional learning.
Hello, Deirdre Faulkner, District Director of Guidance, Westbury Public Schools.
Hello, my name is Dr. Cynthia Orellana, and I am the Westbury Middle School chairperson for World Languages.
Hello, my name is Nicole Christensen, and I am one of the proud assistant principals at Park Avenue.
Hello, Esther Stone. I'm the chairperson of the E&L department at Westbury High School.
Hello, my name is Nydia Kevaney. I am the proud district-wide chair of the Fine and Performing Arts Department.
Hello, my name is Ishelle May, and I am the principal of Drexel Avenue Elementary School.
Hello, I'm Christy Morales, and I'm one of the assistant principals at Westbury Middle School.
Hello, I'm Kashana Clyburn, Westbury's class of 1997, and currently I am the chairperson at Westbury Middle School Special Ed Department.
Good day. My name is Dr. Sharice Pemberton, and I serve as one of the proud assistant principals at Westbury High School.
Hi, my name is Gillian Cromartie, and I'm the assistant principal at Drexel Avenue Elementary School.
Hi, I'm Patty Muller, and I'm the district-wide chair of Science and STEAM at Westbury Schools.
It is a fabulous day. I am Dr. Charmaine Gardner, mathematics chairperson at Westbury Middle School.
Wow. I'm going to to ask my audience a question for those who are watching Strictly Education. Imagine your third grade teacher. And ladies, do the same. Hold that memory in your head. Now, imagine your middle school principal, or maybe even the superintendent of school when you were in schools, or the superintendent who lives in or who works in the community in which you live. Chances are the first person you thought about is a woman. Chances are that middle school principal or even that superintendent is a man. According to Forbes magazine, women in school district leadership, rarer than you think. Nearly 8 in 10 public school teachers are women, as I shared with you earlier. The last person you thought of as a superintendent was likely a man, and it still holds true today. While the gender imbalance at the top educational leadership job has improved since the 80s, when 90% of school superintendents were men, and today nearly 80% of school superintendents are men, this statistic is even more daunting for women of color. As I shared with you earlier, 1.8% represent the superintendency. During the pandemic, ladies, there's another shift that took place in gender imbalances. As women left the posts of their leadership role, be it principal, be it assistant principal, district-wide position, 70% of them were replaced by men. Let's have a conversation about the imbalances. Let's have a conversation about who you are as women of Westbury, and let's have a conversation about your leadership role. And what I hope is that those who are watching will be inspired by your story, will be inspired by your words, and that through this, we will begin to grow more women in leadership who are doing what you are doing. I want us to think globally. I want us to think outside of Westbury, because Westbury is blazing the trail when it comes to female leadership. Look at this stage.
Yes.
But not all districts look like this. And there is a gender imbalance when it comes to school leadership. So let's talk about outside of Westbury. What does a school district and or community gain by having more women in leadership roles at the school district? And I'm going to start off with Trustee Michelle.
Thank you, Dr. Chase, for that question. I really am pleased that we're taking a global perspective at the onset. You know, the UN has SDG goals. The fifth one is gender inequality, addressing those issues. Why is that? They have seen that gender inequality stagnates social progress. Women, I believe, bring unique perspectives, unique experiences that create innovation, that increase creativity, that improve decision-making. I believe that women tend to garner more trust. They are demonstrating more, I will say, integrity and honesty that helps improve overall organizational performance. It helps with employee satisfaction. It helps with employee engagement, which ultimately trickles down to the organization below it. I also believe that women that are in positions of power, they also are inclusive, and that inclusivity also allows them to be advocates for other underrepresented groups, which I think uplifts society as a whole. Now, women in the school district and in the community that are in these leadership roles, I think serve as wonderful role models for our young scholars, our young female scholars, as well as other women. Look at all of the women on this stage. I take a lot from a lot of you in this position, and it helps edify me. So ultimately, I just believe that women, all in all, in these roles, make the school district better, make the community as a whole better, and can go into the world and make it better.
Thank you. Thank you. Principal Dingwall, I want to ask you the same question. By having females in these leadership roles in the school district, how does that enhance the school district as a whole, as well as the community?
When school districts hire women in leadership positions, they are showing the community that decisions about employment have to be made on the credentials, the experiences, the educational background, and the potential capacity to be a change agent in their organization. When women are selected for leadership positions, we are telling our scholars who will be making employment decisions in the future that gender cannot preclude opportunities.
Gender cannot preclude opportunities, ladies. We also heard that this also garners trust in the community when we hire women. At Westbury, we've normalized female leadership. Just look at this stage. Again, out of 49, 32 positions. We didn't seek women. You know what we did? We sought the best people for this position, and they just so happened to be women. That's Westbury. This is why you are wow. There are women who are among us who are in positions that are traditionally held by men. We have women among us who running the entire science department, math department. We have an entire female leadership team at the middle school. Sports, security. Typically, these are our business official, superintendent, typically assumed by males. But we also have some women who are doing such a fantastic job in these roles. So I'd like to ask, why do you think there's less female representation at the educational leadership level at a school district? And I'm going to start off with our supervisor for security, Jennifer.
That's a good question. As my own personal experience, in the middle of my career here at Westbury School District, I had 2 male supervisors, and when I really wanted to show them my appreciation and show them that I'm grateful for working here, I would do things to upgrade myself, and it was kind of frowned upon. So I tended to dumb myself down so they can feel more important. But then it came to a point in my life where I felt like, why do I have to keep on changing myself? If I'm doing things, to help myself, to help my coworkers and everything like that, why should I have to dumb myself down? So, I decided when they retired and they resigned, I wanted to move up and I wanted to fight for it. And I didn't want to be silenced anymore. So I think some women might feel intimidated, to go push past a man and not show their true worth as where they are.
Ladies, yeah, right? So, ladies, is it true that there are so many women who will dumb themselves down not to make men feel intimidated? Wow. Yeah, that's really powerful. Thank you, Jennifer, for sharing that account with us. And Tracy, you are in an athletic leadership role. Same question for you. Why do women tend to shy away from the leadership role?
Being in athletics my whole career, I started as health and phys ed, and then finishing out now as the director of athletics, it is the man's world that I have tried to survive in from day one. And it's not easy, trust me, going head to head with the men that run athletics. But you forget there's also females that play sports in the school district. Same amount of female sports as male sports. So in that regard, it's nice for them to see a woman role model. And I've always prided myself on that I would be the person that the girls could look at and say, wow, maybe if Ms. P can do that, I can do that too. And somebody who has just as much respect, admiration, and passion for athletics as they do on the men's side. So I think that that's very important for women to never shy away from being in that part of the man's world. But there's also that piece of it where the gender identity, when you're in your interviews, when you're in your meetings, I believe in my heart that the man looking across the table is saying to himself, is this young lady in her late 20s, early 30s, still able to bear children, has young children, where is her focus going to be after school? And I think sometimes that puts women at a disadvantage when they're interviewing for after-school type positions.
Sure.
Maybe not the regular school day, but if you're an administrator and you're looking for somebody who has to do after-school activities, I know in athletics I have to do nights, I have to do weekends, I have to do holidays. I know in the back of their mind they're thinking to themselves, they have to get home to take care of their children. That's their role. Yeah. And it's, we have to just break out of that mindset that's where men believe in their hearts that we always are going to end up, at home, taking care of the children while they're out working.
That's a really interesting point. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Dr. Watt, same you. Why do you think there's less female representation at the educational leadership level at school districts?
Thank you, Dr. Chase, for that question. There are a number of reasons why there are less women in educational leadership roles than there are men. One of those reasons is that women have a limited access to networking opportunities. Another reason is that we have less women in leadership roles at the top tier positions in education. Women sometimes find it fearful to go into these positions because of the balancing act that they have to do when it comes to balancing work life and home life. The demands of this job are many, and it spans way beyond a regular school day. You know, it sometimes bleeds over into your home lifetime. And one of the big reasons, now this one I can really relate to, it's gender bias and stereotypes. Folks think that women aren't as decisive or as assertive as men. And this is definitely not true. We are as decisive or as assertive as our male counterparts. And very often we shy away from applying for positions in these leadership roles. And it's a disservice to ourselves. When we shy away from these jobs, we are actually cheating ourselves out of a position that is probably designed for us and for our skill set.
Thank you, Dr. Watt. You know, we're talking about women shying away from the position, but you all didn't shy away from it. Look at you. You're in these positions. Some of us have been in leadership positions for 2 decades, for a decade. Some of us 5 years. Some of us are new, but we're in the position nonetheless. What attracted you to school leadership? I'm going to ask Robin Barnett, our assistant superintendent.
For me, leadership wasn't so much a choice, more as a calling. I knew from a very young age that leadership would be my aspiration and where I would head in life. And the choice that I had to actively make along the way to assuming my current position and every position I've held in leadership thus far has been to ignore the voices that made me question if this was really who I was and where I wanted to go. So for me, leadership wasn't a choice, it was a calling.
Ignore the voices. Ladies, how hard is that to ignore the voices? That's pretty challenging, right? Yes. Yeah, ignore the voices. Maria Vaca, assistant principal, I'm going to ask you the same question. What attracted you to the leadership role?
Thank you so much for the question. To begin, I never thought that I would be sitting with these amazing women over here. I never thought that was not part of what I thought I was going to be able to do. And so when I went to NCC, I was asked to kind of drop out. My English was not strong enough. And I went home and I spoke to my father and he said, listen, you have to do, obviously what's good for you, but also what's good for your community. And years later, I am here, but I'm also thinking I think of myself as a servant leader. Do think that we are here to support, guide, and serve our community. And so now when I see myself walking in the hallways every morning with my counterpart, I see how our children look at us every single day. And thinking with your data and what you had mentioned before about women in leadership and how it's practically non-existent, I do think I never really saw that till now. And so me being able to be not only a woman but a Latina in leadership, I think that I bring that to Park and seeing the children look at me with my curly hair and they say, oh, my mom straightens my hair, but I like your hair, including teachers too.
Love that.
And so I think
Love
that is the role model that I inspired to be. And that's why I'm there.
And you are, in fact, a role model. And tell your father thank you. He is
Every day.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. What does it mean to walk in your truth? What does it mean to walk in your truth? To walk in your authenticity as a female leader? Trustee Boland.
You have to believe in yourself first. And when you look in the mirror and you see you and you like you, When you go out to the world, that shines through. So in order for me to be my true self, I have to believe in who I am. And I'm passionate about everything I do. And I'm more passionate about Westbury, my community. Everything about Westbury is who I am. So when you see me, you know, wait a minute, that's somebody from Westbury. And as you know, Westbury love is real love. And I believe that with my whole heart. So when I walk out into the world, you can tell who I am. I don't have an image. I don't have anything to protect, none of that. Because what you see is what you get. And I'm always going to give it to you that way. And most likely when you're true and honest with yourself, people see that and people believe in that and people will follow that. So to be a leader in my community, I come as who I am. And being born and raised here in Westbury, I don't know anything else. And the people here in Westbury help me to be who I am. So when I look at the ladies here, the teachers, the principals, those were those same people that were here when I was here. So here I am today, the product of all of you. So thank you, ladies. Thank each and every one of you.
Walking in your authenticity. Walk in your authenticity. Ashley Jackson, what does that mean to you?
I think to walk in your truth, you have to have a conversation about what you value and what's dear to your heart. I think it means to have an uncompromising understanding of your sense of self, your morals, your values. And I think you're authentic to that truth by being abundantly clear on where you stand. And that echoes in the conversations you have, the actions you take, the decisions you make. I think as a woman, we all bump up against the centuries-old thinking that is white, male, colonial way of thinking. I think as women, we will face storms, and just because you're a woman, your decisions will be tested, your ability to lead will be questioned, and I think that what gets you through those storms is your truth and your commitment to that truth. I think what helps me is when I lay my head down at night and I think about what brings me peace, I know that I did everything I could to stick to my truth and do what's right by students, children, adults, and I did everything I could to affect change where I could and move the needle forward. I think the other part of this conversation is about sending the elevator back down, but in addition, you get on the elevator back down and bring the next generation up with you, because your job is to nurture them and help them handle the political arena they're about to walk into. Because as a woman, especially a Black woman, the arena is relentless, it is difficult, and it is sometimes abusive. So anything I can do to help the person behind me, I need to do. I also just think if we're going to combat the centuries-old way of thinking, you need people behind you that are like-minded and willing to take on the status quo.
Send that elevator back down, Ashley, and you get in that elevator and bring people up with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's an African proverb that says, when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Unpack that for us, Natalie.
When I think of that African proverb, it really takes me back to thinking about the fact that from the beginning of time, women have always been charged with seeking education, not just for themselves, but for everyone else. I think back to the fact that women, we're natural nurturers, right? We are the first teachers for our daughters and our sons. And when we're doing that, right, we're not doing it just for us. There's a ripple effect that happens when our children go off, but we're always thinking about pouring into them values and skills and empowering them with information that's going to change the world. And that makes me think of that statement, right? Because think about our world without a woman, a woman's touch, right? These natural nurturers, right? That just have just je ne sais quoi, that just no one else can you bring to this planet. And when I think about that, that empowers me. And I think about all the scholars and all the young people, men and women, that look at women and say to themselves, where would we be without that? Natural nurturers who make a difference, that don't just think about their households, but are inclined to always think about serving their community, because women, we're not holders of information, right? We are sharers, we're contributors, and I think that is what, when I think about that, how we impact the nation, impact the world, that's how we're leaving our lineage of legacy. from generation to generation and to make the world better.
There you go. We are natural nurturers. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask Dr. Christie to give us your take on that African proverb.
When you educate a woman, you empower her to become literate. You empower her to become a critical consumer, and you empower her to step outside of the domestic domain. As women, we are the matriarchs of society. We not only are empowered to become educated, but we pass on that power of education to our children, to our families, and generations to come. Globally, over 16 million girls never step foot inside of a classroom. As women and as educators, it is our role to be advocates and to ensure that women globally are able to become literate and are able to pass on the value of literacy to generations to come.
We have a moral obligation. A moral obligation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You know, one of my favorite artists, I have a lot of them, and I know you all do too, Alicia Keys. I just think she's so powerful and so beautiful and so bold and so authentic, right? Her song Superwoman, there's a verse, small verse. Even when I'm a mess, I still put on a vest with an S on my chest. Oh yes, right? She's powerful, and those words in the song are powerful, but just those words I just uttered. There are many times when we all are a mess. Come on, ladies, we can admit it. We're not always perfect. I was a mess when we came in here, a hot mess, right? But yet, we still perform, and we still do what we need to do. I'm going to ask Dr. Nicolette to just unpack that. Think about when you're not your best self, how do you handle it? Where do you draw strength from? Share with us.
Thank you for that question, and that's a great question, especially for us as women, because oftentimes we find ourselves managing multiple roles and juggling various positions, and often in situations where we are expected to be super women, when in fact we are humans who can do super things when we are fortified to do so. So I think it's important for us to remember and to be able to draw from the wells that we know will fortify us to do what we are called to do. I find my strength in God, in my faith, and the power of prayer. As someone who also has a background in holistic health, I also engage in the practices that I share with others, such as yoga, breath work, weight training, thought training, and all of those activities help me to stay grounded and strong physically and emotionally in order to do the work that we do, because it is work, and we have to stay fed and fueled in order to do that work and to rise to the occasion.
That's beautiful. We have to stay fed and fueled in order to do the work. Principal Claudia.
It's about resiliency. As women, we're not only nurturers, we're also earners. We take care of our families, we take care of our households. If you think about it, the population of homeowners has grown, and it's mainly women. Not only resiliency, but having great friendships.
Mm-hmm.
That is one way I know that I can put that S on my chest and say, you know what, I have people that I can go to, people who are supportive of me, people who care about me, because we all need that. We cannot exist alone, especially in this world, without having those wonderful friendships to lean on. Thank you.
We cannot exist alone. We need those allyships, and that's very, very important. And that leads right into the next question. You know, I want to be clear that this show by no means is intended to bash our beautiful male counterparts. In fact, we need them. You know, I shared with you a little bit earlier how the men of Westbury were so excited about this venture that we're on right now. The principals were happy to release the ladies who are here on the stage. They were very supportive of this work. Of course, our producers who are behind the scenes on the camera are very supportive. And there are so many supportive men. I will tell you, in my leadership journey, I probably had more men, sponsorships, and mentorships to help me to where I am today. I probably had more men now that I think about it. And when I think about who mentors me today, the majority of them are men. Men are our allies. And so for the men who are watching Strictly Education, just know that this episode is not intended to bash men, but it is intended to put a spotlight on the gender imbalance that exists in public education as it relates to leadership. But let's get back to the allyship, and let's get back to the sponsorship and the mentorship of our men and how they can support us. How can our male counterparts serve as allies and or support to developing female leadership in any given district? I'm going to start with Shirley.
We have an opportunity to not only serve and lead, but we also have an opportunity to represent. And I feel that men, the leaders that is, have an opportunity to allow us to glow in our natural essence. And I shouldn't say allow, because we don't need permission to lead.
All right now. All right, ladies, snap it up for that one.
I should say be supporters and advocates of our growth in a way that we are sharing in the wealth of knowledge and in the networking opportunities to build communication lines that not only help the school district and education as a whole, but allows them to learn from us, because we have so much to teach men. We're empathetic, we're nurturers, we wear several hats, we know how to juggle problems with a smile. We know how to handle our business and theirs. And I feel that if we know our worth, then we can only build theirs.
If we know our worth, we can only help build theirs. Dr. Elizabeth, what are your thoughts on our male allies and our male sponsors and mentors? How can they help to build the female capacity in a school district?
So one of the things that's been so unique about Westbury is from the start, you've always had welcoming administrators. Male administrators, female administrators. One of the things as a male administrators that you can do for a female coming in, once you see someone expressing leadership qualities, don't be afraid to take them under your tutelage and show them the path to becoming a leader. Allow them to flourish, allow them to express themselves. If they make a mistake, pick them up. Understand they need that reassurance that they might not get somewhere else. And this is something you do find at Westbury. Once we fall, we have our males picking us up. They're not afraid to say, you know what, do this. This is where you should. They'll come behind the scenes. We need that kind of leadership throughout, not just in the Westbury community, but globally.
Beautiful. We do, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Elizabeth. Evelyn, our assistant principal, your thoughts about male allies and sponsorships?
The question brings me back to when I first stepped into this role and my mentor being a counterpart at the high school, assistant principal. And he supported, listened, and allowed me, well, Shirley said not allowed, but he said, you go be yourself.
Nice.
And the trust and the communication. But the collaboration cannot be built if there isn't trust, constant communication, and a mutual understanding, a seesaw, where sometimes we're up, sometimes they are, and sometimes you're level. And that is important here in Westbury.
Very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I want to get into a topic of taking care of ourselves as female leaders. We do so very much. Not only are we doing so much at the school district, but even in our personal lives. Now, we've been hearing a lot about this particular phrase I'm going to speak about, which is wellness. Everybody hears about wellness. We've got wellness coaches, we have wellness podcasts, we have all sorts of things, and not just a school district, just in society as it relates to wellness. And I think wellness has exploded since the pandemic, and the thought about the need for wellness has exploded. So I have a question. What should we do to maintain a sound body and mind as female leaders? And my other question, is that term wellness overused? I'm going to start with Deirdre Faulkner.
Wellness, we process that, and I believe it is a term that is probably misused, I'll say, because when we think of wellness, there is the mental, there's the emotional, and the physical. And we, overall, as a society, put on a brave face and we push forward, but we don't really evaluate every day who we are and how we're bringing our best selves to our children, to our families, and most importantly, to ourselves. So when I think of wellness, I say we have to really redefine it and look at self-love and be able to process what we need each and every day to be the best version of ourselves.
I love that it needs to be redefined. It needs to be redefined. Dr. Williams, are we misusing the word? Does it need to be redefined? What are we doing here as it relates to wellness?
Thinking about the word wellness, we do overuse it, but it's overused as a generalization. There are too many aspects that contribute to a person's wellness, as Ms. Faulkner said. I think that one of the most important things is thinking about what everyone has to deal with every day. And are you contributing to someone's wellness? Or are you impacting it in a negative way? You know, as women, I think we also need to be very honest about the fact that we can also be unkind to each other. We can be not supportive of each other. We can watch a woman be disrespected, to be spoken to rudely, and we may be doing that ourselves. I think if we don't have an honest conversation and take a real honest look at ourselves as leaders and say, how can I improve? And how can I express emotions and support that not only make myself look good, but to actually care about the women under my tutelage? So when we talk about wellness, we can think about it as just putting a Band-Aid on an open bleeding wound. But if we're not talking about supporting the mental health of every single woman that we encounter, and of course our male counterparts, then we're falling short and we are using that word incorrectly. And so it needs to take on a better meaning, and you actually mean it every single day.
So I just want to follow up on something you said. And I'm going to go a little off script, ladies. What does it mean to fix another woman's crown? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What does that mean to fix another woman's crown without letting the world know that you have fixed her crown? What could that possibly look like? What could that possibly look like? Anyone can take that.
I'll take it. For me, to fix another woman's crown without getting accolades, without having somebody tell you job well done, without making yourself look good, it means that you genuinely love that person and that you love what you do. You're committed to something. You have empathy for people. You have sympathy. You express a helping hand when she's in need. You don't see someone having tears run down their face and you don't offer them a tissue and a hug. I hug people all day long, and they will say to me, you're the first person to hug me in a very long time. It really is not so voluminous in what we need to solve our own problems, to solve problems amongst each other. But you really have to actually love yourself first. My faith in God carries me through every single day, and it's not perfect because you get darts every day. I see people with crosses on their desks, Bibles sitting there. Why are we so armed? We're armed because someone's coming after us, both men and women in the workplace. But if we would stop it, if we would actually commit to being a good person, we would actually change the environment and make this place a better world globally for women. The one last thing I want to say is this. I'm going to be celebrating 40 years in education, 4 decades. I don't know about applause, but that means I'm really old. And I still come up against male disrespect. I'm in another industry in higher education as a professor. Why am I one of 25? And one with no other person of color in that department? Why is the person that comes and evaluates me and observes me always a male? So we have to also look at the other industries that are related to our public schools. Our scholars are going to go on and become professors, go to higher education. But we have to first love ourselves, but truly know who we are so we can extend that love to other people and really mean it.
I love that last sentence of we have to love ourselves so that we can extend that helping hand to our sisters in need without letting the whole world know that we gave her support.
Sitting here and I'm blessed that I think I have the best mentor in the world who's also part of this group. And she lets me know when I'm doing well, and she lets me know when I'm needing some advice that, you know, you're not perfect, but it's done so lovingly and it's done so kindly that it never makes me feel uncomfortable, it never makes me feel unworthy, and it never makes me feel like I'm being put down. It makes me feel like I'm being held up and that I'm supported and that I'm heard in what I'm trying to learn to become a female administrator at the next level. So I'm blessed every day. So I'm going to thank Deirdre Faulkner every day for being my mentor always.
There we go. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. I think Ms. Dingwall, Ms. Gloria, Principal Gloria.
I've been a principal since 1996 in Westbury, and it is the best job in America. And I approach this with the knowledge of what Dr. King said, his truth, that we are all interdependent. And then I had the pleasure of studying under Dr. James Comer, who talked about the power of relationships. And truly, we cannot all achieve to our maximum success here in Westbury unless we're all performing at our best. And so when we put that crown adjusted on our sister, we are helping each other, we are helping our students, and we are building up the Westbury community. We cannot afford to take any losses.
That's right. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. I want to get back to wellness. We talked about wellness needs an overhaul. We might need to redefine wellness. What do you do to maintain your wellness? What does wellness look like for you? And why is it important for female educational leaders to engage in wellness? I'm going to ask Esther to answer that question for us.
I think that what we need to do is find the smaller things that makes us happy and just seek them out. I mean, for me, it could be something as easy as, you know, my husband taking me to the movies, you know, once a week, and we just make it a date night, and it evolved into this whole thing naturally, effortlessly. I like going to the movies. He likes going to the movies. Why don't we make sure that we go every week? There we go. But it's finding small little things that will make us happy, and holding on to those things, and having good girlfriends to talk to. You know, some days all we want to do is just say, you know, I want to burn the whole universe down. And that's okay.
It's normal.
And that's okay.
It's normal to think that way.
It's okay. And your girlfriends are there to tell you, Mom, maybe not the whole universe. You know, just maybe not everyone. You know, it's important to have those relationships, and it's important to build on them and to nurture them. Some days it's going to be you listening. Some days it's going to be them listening. Sure. And it's just, that's what the world is. Just if we could all hold each other up and bring each other to a higher power, we would be so much happier.
Nydia, same question. What does wellness look like to you, and why is it important to the female leadership, especially in education?
Wellness to me is my family. My family brings me my energy. My family and my friends bring me my energy. I love being around my family. My daughters, they are just seeing them and being with them and just hanging out with them just brings me to want to do what's best for every child in this entire planet. I love my job. I love this job because I get to be creative. I get to be have fun. And I think wellness also is finding humor in things.
Oh, yeah.
I love laughing. I love making other people laugh. I think it's important to make light of things because there's so many heavy, heavy things and situations that we all go through. And that's why I say family.
Yeah.
Family really just brings you in. And I agree with Esther. Friends.
Right.
Your friends are there. Those girls that you go to that support you, that will fix that crown. Anytime that you feel that you are down, all you got to do is pick up that phone and just say, I need you.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Principal Eshell, same question.
Thank
What
you,
do
Doc.
you do to find wellness? Like, how do you balance it all? And why is it important?
For self-care, I think it's essential for our longevity. As women, to echo my colleagues, we inherently are caregivers, and on that long list of who we're caring for, whether it's your parents, I say some of us are in the panini generation. We were sandwiched between our children and our parents. We have our spouses, our partners, and we keep ourselves at the end of that list at times. And I think it's essential that we prioritize our needs and find our passion. As educators, we're extremely passionate about teaching and learning. It's at our heart. It's what we do. We get up every day, and it drives us, and it gives us that light that inspires us. But we also have to take the time to think about what are our other passions. And for myself, I'm passionate about nutrition, about cooking. At the end of the day, I get home from work, and I'm thinking about my recipe in the car, and I get to decompress, and I think I'm also creative, so the cooking gives me another outlet that I get to use. But I think as women, it's essential that we think about our nutrition. What are we putting into our bodies? Right. How are we feeding our souls? Right. We feed our souls through our career, but we need to feed our souls with the other things we're passionate about as well.
Right. That's right. Excellent, excellent. And we also need to feed our minds with positive affirmations every single day. We might make mistakes. Things may not go as well as we'd like for them to go. We can't beat ourselves up. Just the other day we had a meeting and someone came into the meeting and said, oh my God, Dr. Chase, I'm late, blah, blah, blah. And I said, stop, you're human. And it's okay. And it's okay, ladies, to make a mistake and start all over again. It really is okay. I want to piggyback off of something Principal Eshell said. She said, we do so much. We are mothers, we are wives, we are life partners, we're daughters, we're sisters, we belong to organizations. Some of us are even caregivers to our aging family members. We do so, oh, by the way, we're school leaders. Forgot to mention. We're school leaders, right, in different capacities. We do so much, and then I'm sure the list is endless. How do you do it all? What must a female leader in education have in place in her life in order to do what it is that you do? Because this work is not easy, and it's not for the faint of heart, but it's probably one of the most gratifying things that anyone could ever do, is to inspire the lives of children. It's a beautiful thing. How do you do it all? What must you have in place? I'm going to start with Dr. Cynthia.
All these windows just popped up in my head, and all these bubbles just started popping up, and it just went through my mind that, wow, I do a lot. How do I do it? Well, I must say that it is essential for me to be organized. That's essential for me. It is also very important to have a support system, and I am very blessed to have a big support system in my life, my family, my husband, who is my biggest supporter, and everything just seems to fall into place when we're putting the puzzle together. You mentioned inspiring the children. I think that part of the reason how I am able to do everything that I do is because I have had some really, really important women in my life that have done this. And I grew, as you were asking the question, I just realized, wow, really, my aunt did this as she was raising me and as she was a teacher in El Salvador. My grandma also did it as she was raising me, and she did it all. My mother also did it. And I am thinking that I have had these role models in my life, and this is how I am able to cope with it. I am also able to do this because I draw from my experiences, whether they have been good or bad. My experiences have helped me cope with everything that I do, and that I now realize that this was the way. And ultimately, I bring it to God. I ask God for guidance, for wisdom, to be the best mother that I can be, the best teacher, the best wife, friend, daughter. And I am just extremely blessed for this opportunity and to be sharing this with these amazing women of Westbury. Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant Principal Nicole, same question. You're a mother, you're a wife, you're an assistant principal. Oh, by the way, you know that she also is a professional cheerleader as well. And she's got so many things going. How do you do it all? What must someone have in place to do all the things that you do?
As my colleague, Dr. Cynthia had said, yeah, organization. But in addition to organization, it's that passion, the motivation, mindset, and support that guides you. So you listed a lot of many different components of life, yet they all seem to tie together, even though they are slightly different. Each day thinking of, I get to be Cole's mom. I get to go to Park Avenue and be an assistant principal. I get to be a wife, a daughter, a colleague, and a friend. And those are the things that fuel my fire. And there's always enough time in a day to do the things that are most important to you. And I truly believe that. And I think that in addition to having that support, that's the reason that I'm able to do all of those things. And one final thing, over the past year and a half, I had my son Cole, and now I wake up with a new purpose every day to think, what type of leader do I strive to be in all facets of my life that I hope that he has? And that's the mindset that I go in with. I get to.
Wow, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Principal Crawford, we are mothers, we're life partners, we are wives, we do so much. You are a leader of your organization. How do you do it all? What is it that you do to make all of this work?
Thank you, Dr. Chase, for that very interesting question. How do we do it all? Well, I start with answering to my God daily to get myself grounded so that I can do his work in order and follow his guidance. Secondly, I would say that I have organizational skills and I must manage my time. My calendar has everything on it. I need to see what I have to do. And the way that this really works is to have a supported team that is competent. At work, I have that team. In other organizations, I definitely have that team. And at home, I have the support of my husband and my children. We might make it look easy. It's not. But with organization, time management, and communication, you can do whatever it is that you desire to do.
Wow. And you are the principal of Westbury Middle School. Let's get into another topic, passing the baton. Ladies, we will not be in our positions forever. Not forever. For a long time, because we love what we do, but definitely not forever. The young ladies, the scholars, these beautiful scholars, could possibly be watching the show. Some may not say it, but I know for a fact they admire you. They see you, and through you, they see themselves. What advice might you give any one of our females here at Westbury? Just advice, period. I'm going to start with Patty. Patty.
Having taught for many years and having taught physics, which is primarily a male-dominated area, but still enrolling and having numerous female students in the class, oftentimes, excuse me, oftentimes having classes with the majority of students being female, they can be intimidated. What I would tell our female students is to just be true to yourself. Never be embarrassed for what you find your passion to be. Never be embarrassed for doing something well, but truly own it. Own who you are, own your accomplishments, and nothing will ever be able to stop you.
Sister Principal Gillen, same question. What might you advise our female scholars?
So, some advice that I would give to our female scholars is to always lead with inquiry. I know for me personally that so many of my positive learning experiences have come from the different relationships that I've formed. And I know something that's always resonated with me is that no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. So, I do really believe that our female scholars have the capacity to learn more, whether it's about the academic world or, the global world in terms of traveling. And I know I've personally formed many positive relationships with my female students, and I've been able to share my personal experiences with them and give them a whole new perspective of what is available to them in their futures.
Dr. Charmaine, same question. What advice might you give?
Girl, you got this.
Yes.
You have to strive
Yes.
for greatness every single day. But greatness is hard work. But you are in control of your greatness. So don't doubt yourself. Don't look at your circumstances. Don't look at people that are so negative and always talking you out of things. You have to know that you are in control of your greatness and that you cannot let somebody decide how great you are going to be.
Girl, you got this. You hear that, wow, women of Westbury? But that's to each and every one of you. You got this. Everyone I'm looking at right now has the ability to be a superintendent, to lead a school district. Tracy, I know, sounds tough, but it isn't. What you just shared, those attributes of, girl, you got this, knowing thyself, having partnerships and friends, having the fortitude, what fuels you, will empower you to sit in this seat. I'm not going to sit here forever. I have to pass the baton one day. And I am hoping that one of you would consider going into this field and picking up where I left off. And if not here, another school district where you're needed, where you're needed. We need more females to go into the superintendency. It is not a daunting aspect of educational leadership. I have fun doing it, and I still find joy in my work. I wake up excited. Not every day is easy. There are very tough days, and there are days where I am running ragged, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, but I'm still excited because I know it's a calling. Speaking of calling, there are women who are watching this show who are aspiring leaders. They want to do what you're doing. They've listened to what you've shared, which was powerful. They listened to your nuggets. What might you say to an aspiring leader? Anybody who wants to go into this field? I just gave my advice. What would you advise? Someone who wants to be a principal, someone who wants to be a director, someone who wants to be a school board member, someone who wants to lead athletic security, who wants to lead science, mathematics, like Dr. Watt. What might you say? Let's hear what Dr. Elizabeth has to say.
I would say don't be afraid to seek out mentorship, because one thing about mentorship is that individual can help you and guide you to the next level of your career. It doesn't matter if it's a teacher leader or you want to be a dean or you want to be assistant principal, but seeking a mentor can help you in so many ways as, hey, you know what, here's a course, here's what's coming up next, and always pushing you in that direction. Don't be afraid to take on roles that are not the traditional roles. For example, at the high school, we have, PLT leaders. We also have SPMT, where individuals are stepping up.
So explain to the audience what STMP means, because they may not know. SPMT, what is that? You know, in education, we have so many different acronyms. We speak another language. So just speak to the audience who may not know.
It's a school-based management team is what it really comes down to. And it allows everybody that's part of this committee to have a say in what they think might be a better way for certain avenues to run. I don't know how else to say it. So they have a say. It's, you know, not everybody has that administration degree. Not everybody has gone through the programs like we have. And not everybody is confident yet to speak their mind. But this gives them a platform to do that and to say what they view and what they see, what might be better for not just, you know, the adults, but for the scholars as well. And I happen to like it just because I like to hear everybody else's opinion on how they feel the school needs to be run. And from there, I believe a lot of teachers move on to then start to go for their administrative degrees just because they can feel that they're being heard and then they see the change. It's all about being the change agent for our scholars. And if, you know, if there's something inspirational about knowing that you're making a difference in the life of another human being.
Excellent. Any advice for aspiring?
To get involved. It starts with involvement. And to become a school board trustee, I became involved as a parent, as a PTA person. And it's funny, we talk about mentorships, and she just mentioned the SPMT. As a parent, as a PTA parent, I started out with Principal Dingwall. And she became my mentor. And from there, and going to SPMT meetings, you learn about the culture of the school. You learn about everybody's role in the school. And so as a parent, I was like, okay, I can get involved with this. I'm helping my child. And as I moved forward, I became the school board trustee so I could become the change agent. So what I could see as far as helping the school from every aspect as an SPMT member, from the custodian, from the teacher, from the principal, you get to learn because you're inside the door. So when I say get involved, it's easy for people to stand outside the door and say, oh, the school is not doing this, that, or the other, but have you come in? Have you come in the building? Have you talked to the people in the building? So you have to get involved before you can make comments about anything. Get involved. So that would be my suggestion to anybody. Can I do? You get involved.
Very quickly, I wanted to add the advice that I would give to someone who's an aspiring leader is don't find reasons to talk yourself out of it. Instead, find reasons to talk yourself into it.
Nice.
You deserve it.
That's right. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Just 2
You
seconds.
deserve it.
I did not think I was going to become the ENL chairperson at the high school when I already knew that the chairperson was going to be retiring. I was just like, you know what? No, I don't know. I don't think so. It took one word from Dr. Pemberton. One suggestion, just that one idea. And let me tell you that many people have said, oh, you should go for a try. But it was her words that, you know, Ms. Stone, you should consider it, that led me to think, yes, I should consider it. Good. So telling each other, helping each other, saying to each other, supporting each other, pushing each other sometimes of that deep end that we don't think that we can actually swim in. You can't swim.
That's right.
Just try.
That's right.
Doggy paddle's okay.
That's right.
For
That's
a little
right,
bit.
right.
For a little bit. And then you better butterfly your way through that whole pool.
That's right. No, thank you for that.
I just wanted to add one thing. I wanted to say break the mold. I say that because my daughter brought something very important to me, and she said, Mommy, most goalies are really tall. I'm not tall. I go, break the mold. Why do you have to do it exactly like everyone else did before? Show everybody else that you can do it even though you're smaller than everybody else.
Good.
Break the mold.
Break the mold. Break the mold. Just going back to what Esther shared earlier about inspiring one another. She talked about another admin who inspired her to become the ENL chair. I want to talk about inspiration for a second. And I'm going to go back to, because I see somebody else wanted to add to the last question, and we'll have time. Who inspires you? The person could be with us or deceased. Who inspires you? Kashana.
So the person who inspires me, and I hope I don't get emotional.
It's okay.
Try
It's
not
okay.
to.
You're among friends.
Is my personal angel, and that's my grandmother. Her name is Dorothy Pigler. She was one of the first people that gifted me with confidence. She let me know that I have a voice in places that I didn't think I belonged. Sitting here amongst these powerful women, I can imagine her just how proud she would be. Growing up, she would share the same story. She was the oldest of 5 siblings. In 8th grade, she had to leave school because she had to care for her family. And she was never able to go back to high school to get her diploma. So education became very important to her. She would always tell this story. I remember when I was in college and money was tight, and I had to take off a semester. And she was not having it. She made me go to work. This was going to work out. And she called family members and collected money for me to go back to school. And so here I am today. I feel like I am her greatest vision. I am her greatest dream. And I get to give back to what was gifted to me. But I do it on a platform that I don't even know if she could imagine that I would be here. And so this experience continues to humble me. Every day, for those who know me in the building, I'll say, I'll see you later, I'm about to go change your life. Because someone did that for me. And I am so very grateful. So I don't take any of these moments, whether I am in leadership or wearing my other hat as an educator in the classroom, for granted, because I know the impact of what a dream and a desire could be.
Your grandmother's among the ancestors, and you are your ancestors' wildest dream. Beautiful, very beautiful. Dr. Sharice, who inspires you?
Thank you, Dr. Tahir, for the question. So when I first heard the question, the number one person who comes to my mind is the person who, when you open up the dictionary and you look up the term, or phrase, I should say, phenomenal woman, and I see my mother. But because of my experience this morning, I'm going to say our kids. And why? When I hear, well, who inspires me, it's who makes me want to be a better Sharice. Who makes me want to reach for more, do more, and seek more are my babies. This morning, Jonathan comes up to me and says, Dr. B, you were dropping some knowledge yesterday at that meeting. Where we could meet and talk about real estate. And so anyhow, he has really just got me to a point where I'm in my head. I mean, yes, I'm loving everything I'm hearing here, but all I can think about right now are my 2 babies from today and how I'm going to find ways to meet with them on Monday in order to launch them into the explorations of different careers that they have piqued me about. Another young lady who came to me with her story, who is so similar to my own family story, and coming from the Caribbean, and she's here by herself, the girl is bright as ever. I am going to do everything I can to make sure as much funding can go to this young lady and to fund her education and her path to move forward. So these 2 young children from today have inspired me to go out to want to seek more, find more, and to help to come back and serve them. And I thank them for that.
Thank you. Dr. Christie.
Okay. So, as a young girl, I always had a passion for mathematics. So, someone who's truly inspired me has been Katherine Johnson, who is featured in the book and in the movie Hidden Figures. As a remarkable, trailblazing mathematician, what she was able to accomplish during her time and her contributions to the space program has been absolutely amazing. Did you know it was because of Katherine Johnson's mathematical calculations that we had our first space flights and landings on the moon in the 1960s? Did you know that despite all the challenges that she faced as a female African-American woman in a field dominated by men, that she never gave up? As she once said, Like what you do, and then you will do your best. This quote clearly resonates with me because it shows the passion and excellence in leadership. And as a leader, I truly emulate and strive to carry through with the values that Kathleen Johnson has.
Thank you. Thank you. And in speaking on excellence in leadership, this concludes the episode, the Women's History Month episode of Strictly Education. It has been an honor to have you all as my guests. This was a leap of faith on so many levels, and each of you fueled me in ways in which you cannot imagine. You ladies are powerful. You ladies are strong. You ladies are making a difference each and every day. And I'm so proud to be your superintendent, and I'm so proud to have you as guests. This show has exceeded my expectations. During the break, one of the producers whispered to me and said, "This is amazing." And it's amazing because of you. Thank you for allowing yourselves to be vulnerable and for sharing your stories. I will promise you this. Your stories, your account, your affirmations, your confirmations, your celebrations will inspire those who are watching. I promise you. And you're going to hear about the feedback, and whether you don't, just know that you are giving other people fuel to actualize their dreams. Thank you for being a woman of Westbury. Thank you for wowing us and for wowing my Strictly Education audience. Thank you.